Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Welcome if you are new. I'm Stacy and today we are going to watercolor for our Watercolor Wednesday a butterfly on some green leaves. Gonna try and keep this pretty simple. Nice wash on the background, kind of fuzzy, out of focus, and then our leaves are going to be greens and yellows, and our butterfly is going to be, well, mine is going to be yellow fading into white with black markings. You can make your butterfly whatever you want. I will be providing the line art in the description below if you guys want to trace and try to do this butterfly on your own, or you could paint along with me. So we're going to start. I have my M-Gram palette out per usual for watercolors. Next week I'll do a different watercolor palette. I don't feel like it this week. I have gouache in my paintbrush. I have out my Princeton Neptune round 8 and 18. I also have out a couple of liners. This is a Princeton Art and Brush Company round number 5, and this one is a Royal & Langnickel Moderna number 4 round. It also has a M77R number on it. They both have good snap and come to a decent point for getting some lines in. And I have a couple, my new brush that I got in my, this one, in my Palettefull Packs box. It's triangular, so it's good for, it's kind of a wedge brush is what it's called. It's good for fine lines. So those are the brushes that I have out. You guys can use whatever you have. I am going to spritz the outer edge because I'd like to get the greens in. I'm going to use my sap green. And I don't clean my palette. If you've been around the channel for a little while, you know this. So I'm going to put my sap green where I normally do on my palette. And I generally mix this with other colors to give it interest, but for today I'm just going to go in and do a kind of soft, out of focus, not going all the way, filling it all in, kind of effect over there. And then get in around the butterfly. Remembering that we want our butterfly to be, well, I want my butterfly to be yellow and white, so I don't want to muck it up too much. You know what I might put on the background is some salt. Where's my salt? Maybe we'll do that. It makes for an interesting background. That way we can just put in a nice layer. Put some neutral tint up here with this green. Neutral tint and Payne's gray mixed together quite nicely. Neutral tint is a little granulating, so it I just like the way it looks with the sap green on the paper to create a more shadowy leaf area over there in the back. Like that. We'll stay more soft and bright on this side. Not too bright though. I really want my butterfly to be the most important part. I'm not going to put the salt everywhere, just here and there. That's good. kind of left this corner alone and this corner because I want them to be a little, this side to be a little bit dark. We'll see how it dries if I want to add more to it after we get done doing the details in the butterfly. The paper I'm using, a little belated on that one, is my, ooh, whack that light really hard. My Canson watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press. It is, oh, come on, thank you. I've had this pad for quite some time. I'm pretty much all the way through it. There were 30 sheets in it. I'm down to 5, 2, 4, 5 counting this sheet. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna grab my number 8, kind of clean off. I was doing a gouache painting yesterday and I got, if you haven't seen it, it's the jellyfish that I did for Mixed Media Monday this week. Turned out okay. Not quite as detailed and crisp as I wanted it, but it was alright. Alright, I'm gonna, before we do the darks on the butterfly, and before I get into the leaves, I want to wet down the entire, now I've traced this on with tracing paper. I drew it all out on a piece of paper and then traced it on here. So there we go. Get these puddles out of my way so I don't accidentally smudge them into the piece. There we go. So that I could go over it with the lighter colors. I want to do Azo Yellow, which is kind of a very bright yellow. Kind of drop it in and let it bleed around. I may, it looks, oh, my light is reflecting on that. There we go, that's better. Something like that. And I want it to be a soft glow in comparison to the dark black that I'm going to put around the butterfly. So, but I want a little high up. There we go. The rest of it to be super light glow instead of white, like that. Yeah, and then just bright right through here. Pull that back a little bit. There we go. I dig it. Okay. I may have to go in with gouache on the face a little bit. We'll see how that goes when I get that far. For now, we'll block it in with a little pale yellow. There we go. Alright, so that's that. I'm going to leave that alone and let it dry a little bit before we get going with putting the black marks on. And I'm going to get in here and do the leaves. I'm going to use my sap green, kind of a lot of water for the first lay down. There. And then pull that along there. And wrap it around. This is, I'm not going for complete realism, but I'm going to leave this pretty pale because it's reflected in the reference photo, which is also linked below if you guys want to use it for reference for your shadows or the colors that you're using. I'm going to put some yellow, some more of this Azo yellow while it's still wet, along the stem and the back of that leaf. A little bit right there. This paper really can't take much of a beating, which is why I'm not, ooh, I'm digging those textures. That's gonna dry nice. Very cool. Alright, as I was saying, this paper can't really take a lot of layers and a lot of scrubbing abuse, so that's why I went in with a wash for the background and kind of a focal point over in the corner. Put a soft yellow on top of this because we're going to deepen that green underneath on either side of the stem. Like that. And it doesn't need to be an even coating. It can be a little textured, which is nice. And if you want, you can get as exacting as you feel like you want to with your painting. You can do a soft layer of green and let it dry, or use a heat tool and then go back over it with subsequent layers and get some really nice detailing in. Or you can do watercolor wash and go over it with colored pencil, which is what I did with my moon bear painting that I did for one of last week's videos, which came out, in my opinion, came out really, really amazing. I love that piece. But I did watercolor, I think it was a Fun Friday video that I did that one for. I did a watercolor wash and paint of bear. Painted it all in with blues and purples, and then I went over the top of it because I really liked it when I was done with the watercolor part, but it wasn't quite enough contrast or detail for me. And I have these Castle Art colored pencils that I want to get some definite practice with, and went ahead and went in over the top, and it turned out great. I'm really, really happy with it. So you can do that with your piece if you want to. You can block in all your colors and get it looking exactly the way you want. Do a cool soft background, and then go over the top of that and get details with your colored pencils. It's fun. It's a fun mixed media practice. And a full colored pencil piece, as a lot of you probably already know, takes a lot of time. So it's a good cheat if you want to do a colored pencil piece to put in your watercolor and do your penciling over the top. This leaf is pretty dark in the background there. I'm going to put some pure sap green on it. Just kind of let it float about. And let that do its thing. This one's more bright, so not as much color. Let it be like that. How are we looking? Pretty cool. Alright, I'm digging it. And because I don't want this to be a hard edge here, I'm going to drag that green out to the edge, dry the brush off, and kind of soften that color all the way up. Like that. Because that's the underside of that leaf right there. That the butterfly is on. Like that. And leave that little ridge of like glow. And if you go over it, you can always dampen and blot to kind of pull it back. If you have good paper, you can give it a little scrub and blot that up. Bring it back to almost white. Get that green going in there. Leave that little tip of that leaf on this side. Very light. And a piece of hair there. Leave that alone for a little bit and let it dry. I'll let the leaves dry a little bit now, and then we're gonna work on the black, which I'm not going to use black. I'm going to use my dioxazine purple, which I'll mix over here so you guys can see what I'm doing. I don't normally mix my darks over here, but for this video I will. For you guys I'll do it. So I usually, for a black or a dark color, I'll mix dioxazine, which is a really beautiful deep purple, as you can see. And you can just use purple, just straight purple if you want to, especially if you have a nice dark purple like this. And then neutral tint or Payne's Gray, which I have both. Neutral tint, my neutral tint has a little bit of a purpley-ish bias to it, and then Payne's Gray is a more blue-gray. So it just depends which way you want to go. And I really like the neutral tint. Payne's Gray is really beautiful as well as Sennelier's Payne's Gray. So either works. Either will make a nice, and leave it kind of inky like this, so that you're pretty much drawing with your paint instead of letting the watercolor be all loose and free, and it gives you a bit more control over your line work. I'm going to try not to get too fussy, because I tend to do that. Just gently get in the antenna. There. That. And then I could zoom in a bit so you guys can see better what I'm doing. There we go. We're going to focus. There we go. And then the tops of the legs have little bits of glow. So I'm not going to do like a crisp straight line. Try and get it pretty good on the bottom. And then leave little bits of opening on the top for that glow. Like that. Same thing over here. Got a little bit of glow on it here and there. If you look at the reference photo, you can tell. Once again, just depends how detailed you want to get with your piece. That will dictate how much detail you put in right there. And around all these little delicate areas. And I'm using just the fine hairs. Is it going to focus? On the very tip of the brush right there. Just the finest little bits of hairs on the very tip of the brush. And a very light touch. To get all the little, and if you don't want to do this with a brush and watercolor, you can do this. You could totally do all of your watercolor work and then do black with your liners. Any of your liners that you want to use. That's another really effective way to get in all of your details, your dark details. A little bit of glow there. We'll leave that in there. Got a little heavy with my hand there. That's alright. Like that. And I know this part can be super time consuming. So if you guys want to fast time this, down below there's a gear at the base of the video that will allow you to speed me up if that's what you wish to do, which does not bother me at all. I know that this can be boring for some people to watch in real time. There. Between these markings is where it's black, right through there. And a little bit of depth through there. Like that. There we go. There's her little face and front legs. Okay. And this part is white as well, but this part right here, let's see. What do you have going on? I mean, and if you get your, like, no one's gonna know but you, honestly, for the little teensy details, unless the person watching this is, like, really into bugs. No one's really gonna know looking at it if you fudge it a little bit. So don't stress out about that. If you get it too dark in an area that you're like, ah, nuts. That's not what I wanted to do. Just roll with it. Just roll with it. The top of this leg is white, so I'm going to do the bottom edge there. Down into here and here. Back behind, and then these guys here. Once again, has some glow on it. And this one as well. Has a little bit of glow on that one side. So we will just let it be a little blank like that. There we go. And then here, under the leaf, is a bit of shadow from where this leg is touching the actual leaf. There, and then this leg is touching the leaf on this side. So a little bit of shadowing like that on the leaves. See, gives the illusion of that. And then the petal, well, there's a little bit of shadowing along here. Along that leaf, going this direction. From the interior of the stem. And I am one of those artists that gets in there with their hands. I don't mind that. And if you get to, once I get done putting in this gray, I'll probably give a little bit of wash with green again to make it a little more green related. But right here is where you can see the petal, or the shadow of the wing touching the leaf. So that's what that mark is right there in the tracing. There's the line of the stem, and then there's a line next to it that creates that shadow of the wing touching the leaf. So there's that line, and then we have our line work around all of the different shapes on our butterfly. And if you don't want your butterfly to be this detailed, if this is too much, you don't have to trace it like this. You can trace like the basic shape and then make your own different little markings on the inside. That's totally cool to do. I mean, it's your painting in your world. You could paint this gold and green. Ooh, that'd be pretty. Like your butterfly could be black with gold dots. What else could you do? Pretty much anything you want. I do like the idea of metallics though. In the interest of this being strictly a watercolor practice and a watercolor tutorial, I will only be using watercolor for this. But you guys could make it a mixed media piece and make it very much your own. If you could elongate the wings and make them flowy, like incorporate the textures of fish maybe. Those really pretty heavily finned betta fish or koi fish. Around this shape right here. Around this shape here. And I don't intend to, and I know I talk really soft in my videos too. I noticed that when I was editing my last video that I was talking very softly throughout most of the video. If you guys would prefer, I can, well, try not to be so soft-spoken, or I could do a voice-over of the piece instead of talking while I work. While I work, I tend to speak in a very soft tone. It is not a conscious thing. It is just how my mood is while I'm working. I'm putting a little more water on this to work it up a little bit, dry it out a bit. But I am very relaxed when I do most of my art pieces, and this is pretty much how I feel. But if it is too soft, I can try to curb or enhance the way I speak while I'm doing a video. Are we digging it so far? I am. I'm going to put this line in. Now most of the lines on the tracing on the wing are the lines around the marks. Like this trace line is the shape, and then everything between is black but very thin. If you look at the reference photo, very thin lines between all of these long marks on this part of the wing. And I haven't done a butterfly piece in a while. My last butterfly piece that I did, a big one like this, it's in my, I believe my watercolor playlist, was very mixed media piece, mostly watercolor, and Faber-Castell ink pens. So it's been a while since I've done a butterfly. I decided to do one today for you guys to paint along with, because this is a challenging subject matter, getting all the dots and lines and stuff in there in an effective way. Get that dot in right there. And they don't have to be perfect, because the butterfly's wings are they're a little hairy. They're like velvety. So if your markings aren't like super perfect and very, very crisp, don't worry about that, because butterflies are actually a bit furry, which is weird to think about, but true. Very, very true. Got a little shaky hand going on right there. Whew. And you can even accentuate that by doing little hair marks like that around like the edges, and not making it purposefully, but making it less perfect. Let's see. There. I'm gonna more try to do a clean line going up. Nope. The brush isn't smooth enough for that. I have to do it a bit at a time. My brush is a little bit, well, if you can see it, it's a little bit frayed and crazy. This. So I'm going to have to do it in little bits. This one line that goes all the way up the top of that wing, which is fine. Okay. Get this one in, and get this in, that. Get this line in that I almost missed. Come around like that, around like that. And like I said, if this is too tedious, you can always do bigger shapes on the wings. I find it to be pretty relaxing and very therapeutic to do little things like this. You know, another thing, and I did post one of my neographic art paintings. I'm going to do another one, I think, tonight too, just because I really enjoy doing them. A little more black, a touch more neutral tint, touch more purple. This kind of reminds me of doing the neographic art. Just the slow plodding nature of getting all the little details in. If you haven't tried to do a neographic art piece and you like doodling, I recommend it. Not everyone will like it, of course, but it is so relaxing a process. Basically, the basics, without getting into the therapeutic part of it, the actual therapy that is out there surrounding neographic art. You draw a mark on the page. Just draw a mark on the page. And then wherever there is a point or an abrupt edge, you round that, you round it. And if you watch the video that it's a time lapse, so it's not terribly long. If you watch that, you can totally see how I round. But you're supposed to make your scribble, round all the all the points into a soft round edge, which makes it look like kind of like what is it? When you look at the picture of a brain, the neurons in a brain, it'll look like that, sort of. And it creates really nice shapes, and it's very relaxing to do, especially if you like coloring in color books or you like doodling. If you don't want to draw a specific animal or picture or whatever, but you really want to do something, it's a good practice just to get out of your brain, relax. You don't really need to think. You can put on a book or music or listen to a show. I don't know why the middle of all these is getting dry. It's weird. But that's what this reminds me of a little bit. That relaxing, filling in. Does anybody else out there like to fill in? Just coloring pages here and there. I don't really do coloring pages. I do have some coloring books that I got for Christmas. But coloring books, I haven't colored in an actual coloring book in years. Are just not something I enjoy very much anymore. But the neographic art practice is freeing enough and personal enough. It becomes a really beautiful piece. Because you can, once you're done doing all the rounding, which you're supposed to do all in one session, that's supposed to be where you do your scribble, and then you do more lines through your scribble to make it whatever you want it to be. Whether you're purposely trying to make it look like something or you just want more shapes on your page. the coloring in can make it a very beautiful piece of like abstract art that you might even want to hang on your wall. I'm actually going to create a couple, I need to get some big watercolor paper. I'm going to create a couple of abstract flowery pieces for my bedroom, because I have big walls in my bedroom with nothing on them. And I've lived here for, this is going on my 3rd year in this apartment. I would like to wake up to certain, not shapes necessarily, but colors and feelings. This one is an unfinished light spot. I'm going to do that. Because I like the soft butters and in my bedroom, but soft butter yellows, and I like waking up in that color. I can't paint the walls in my, well I can, but then you gotta paint them back and I don't want to do that. It's not like I'm planning on living here forever. If I had my own house, I definitely would paint my bedroom a soft, like buttery yellow. I love waking up in that color. It's a happy color for me. It's uplifting and motivating and puts me in a positive frame of mind. Do any of you have a color that makes you feel that way? Positive and uplifted, or even calm? Do you have a color that motivates you? Have you even thought about that before? I know that color definitely affects my mood. The colors that I wear, I have lots of colors for my clothes, so I tend to wear the color that I am feeling. I currently have on a navy blue shirt and pink and blue kind of spirally pants, because I like crazy colored pants. Those tie-dye pants. My kids make fun of me that I was born outside of my time, but I'm definitely a hippie, which I think is funny. And kind of appropriate. I'm hippie-esque, I guess. I prefer calm, soothing. I like routine. I love gardening. Love gardening. I miss having a yard. I like doing yard work, which puzzles a lot of people that I know, because most people don't really care to do yard work. But I really enjoy it. I really, really enjoy cutting the grass and weeding. It's satisfying. You get all done and your yard looks beautiful and your flowers are all blooming and gorgeous. And vegetables, I miss having a vegetable garden and fruit trees. My ex-husband and I had fruit trees, and we had a pretty good garden going in the yard, which was nice, which the animals loved as well. The bunny rabbits, I didn't know how much they liked sweet peas, those sugar snap peas. Before I could harvest them, they got to them all, the little boogers. Yeah, it's amazing how much, I honestly didn't think about how much a garden would draw the surrounding animals into the yard. Because we were in town enough that it didn't register as something that would be a problem. But yeah, tons of bunnies, tons of bunny rabbits, and nighttime animals, possums, and your deer. I've seen fox out there. Oh, this is looking so nice. I'm digging it. And how long? I actually don't know, because it's a couple clips. I don't feel like it's taking forever. I mean, I'm talking a lot, but I don't feel like it's taking forever. At any rate, I really miss having a garden and a yard. not a big yard, but a decent sized yard. I would love it to have a greenhouse one day as well. That would be amazing. And there's nothing quite like fresh vegetables out of a garden. Actually going to the farmer's market next Saturday. My boyfriend and I are going to go check out the comic book store. The comic book store down the way, around the corner from here, has free comic book day. I don't know if all comic book stores do that. I don't know enough about it. I'd have to ask him. But this comic book store does. Free comics day. And it's come back around. So we're going to go check that out. See if there's anything. We'll do a little more neutral tint in that. Anything we want to snag, and then we're going to go to the farmer's market, and because I want to pick up some honey and some vegetables. I love fresh vegetables for the week. Or 2, I could actually pick up enough for 2 weeks and freeze some of it. And it's amazing how much, because I live alone, my boyfriend doesn't live with me, but vegetables, man. Just a couple vegetables will make a lot of, what do you call it? I like to make roasted vegetables. I like to eat them raw. And just a few beets and a few peas and carrots and all the things. Peppers and onions. Ooh, sweet onions. Yum yum. Cut them all up and have them there to munch on. And I find that I eat a lot more fruits and vegetables in the summertime than I do in the winter. And I would like to freeze some I want to get a vacuum sealer so that I can freeze some of the fresh veggies that I get this year for the winter time. Now, this kind of blends together a little bit, this little bit of wing right here, but there is a little like glowy white edge that I'm going to leave there and there, like that. And then these 2 dots kind of run from behind, because it's behind, so like that. And then on the outside edge are a couple of little white dots as well, which you can make as many or as little as you want, but I just did the 3. And then our dots in there. Leave a little bit of white space between the wing and the forward wing and the back wing that's in the back. So that was hard to explain. It's hard to get out. And if you forget to do the little white line, you can always go in with a gel pen or white gouache or India ink and crisp that up when you're all done. Anywhere that you've fudged into and you don't like it, it's not crisp enough for you, you can go back after and fix it. You don't have to stress it while you're painting. See? Ta-da! There's our butterfly. That looks awesome. See, and you get that beautiful gradation without having to worry about fudging your dark color up. I have done watercolor pieces where I put the dark colors in around all the things and then tried to go in and fill in all the little spots with with color, and that is always a mistake that I make. But yeah, there's our butterfly. I think it looks cool. I'm going to do a little more detailing on our leaves, and I'm going to take the tape off. And is this dry enough? Yeah, you can see the textures that the salt has left behind for the background, which is nice. It's interesting, right? And you don't have to take the salt off if it doesn't bother you. It bothers me. I don't like leaving the salt on the page. Mostly because I'm going to tuck this in with the rest of my artwork for the year, and I don't want salt all over the place. so you can gently rub it gently so it doesn't too much scratch the surface of the page. And yeah, it'll loosen that all up for you. And you can tap it off the page when you're done with your painting. I'm going to do a little bit more on the leaves. A little more detailing on these leaves. Dark green right here to really make it pop. All the way down next to that. And because I've already put down a layer, if you do it gently and you don't like scrub back and forth, you just put it down and leave it alone, it'll make a nice dark layer for you. It's when you keep going back and forth that it's going to lift up the layers underneath. And if you're not wanting that, you gotta be fairly quick about it. And I get in a little bit of interest on this back part. And you can see I'm not filling it all in. I'm leaving that texture so that it looks like there are those light lines on the leaves. Like that. And then, let's see, this guy. There. Like that. And then here. Like that. And again, leaving a little space between this dark bit that I'm putting in right here and the one that I already put on. Give the illusion of that leaf texture. And you don't have to do that if you don't want to, or if you're not getting the effect you want. You can always go in with colored pencil. No shame in using mixed media at all. I do it all the time. Just a bit there so that it looks like that leaf is bending over. I'll zoom in a little bit more. So that it looks like that leaf is bending over a bit right here. Around this very edge right there. Like that. Yeah, I dig it. And then this side is kind of going this way. Like that. And I do have the window open because it's nice out, so there's going to be road noise. It's summertime, so every video is going to have road noise and possible motorcycles in it. Just, you know, for fun, for interest. Added interest in the piece. So some lines to give it a little bit of form. And then you can dry the brush off and kind of drag a little bit more texture in, like that. And drag this out a bit to give that leaf some form. And a touch right here between the stem on the leaf and this stem coming up this way. And then along the back edge, right here, of our stem, like so. Let's see, do we want to do anything else to this leaf? I think I want to pull this down like that. Like that, and I know you guys can't really see that edge very well. Just gonna do a little bit of I'll put a touch of neutral tint in this green. Gray it up a bit. Do a little bit of dry brushing to give this shadowy leaf a little bit of texture. And maybe a touch along the edge of that to give it some textural interest. I like textures. They please me. I'm going to put a touch of Azo yellow, because that's the yellow we've used in the piece all the way through. Oops, that's a lot of Azo yellow. And get a softer yellow color going on over here on the edge of this one, like that. I'm going to take that Azo yellow, pretty pure, and it's the same yellow that I've used, and you can use whatever yellow you have. I have Azo yellow and Gamboge in my palette. Gamboge is a more orange yellow color that I enjoy. It's more earthy. To get the top of the leaf just to be a little brighter like that, to shine. And put some more Azo yellow on this leaf as well, on this part that's shiny. There. There. On the edge of the leaf right there. Kind of let it bleed out outside of the line. Then I'll put a little yellow ridge on it for you. Give it a little yellow glow on the edge of your leaf. That I'll show you in the close-up in a minute here. And let's see, a little more Azo yellow along the stem there. And along the outside of that edge of the leaf. And then we're done. And that's it. That's our painting. Beautiful butterfly, pretty cool background. Let's take the tape off and see what it looks like. I'll zoom out. See what it looks like without the tape. Come on. Now once again, if your tape does not peel off nicely, if it tears the page, you can heat it with the heat tool. If you pull away from your painting and it does happen to tear a bit, at least it won't tear up into your artwork, and you can crop it off if you want to. Put that there, and then we'll do this side, kind of away from the art like that, at a 45-degree angle. It's usually pretty effective, like so. Oh yeah, that crisp edge. There's nothing quite like it. It's quite nice. Get this edge done. Consciously pulling away because I forget and I get carried away and I rip my paper. There. And I'm not sure if I like the darkness that's going on this side, but I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to let it be because it kind of does, now that I'm looking at it. Come on. There it goes, ripping again. Forgot about my 45-degree angles. There we go. It does lend a bit of balance to the piece because the butterfly has all that black. This lends a little bit of visual balance, I think. Yeah, I like it. It's very nice. I'm thinking that I should probably have put a little bit more down here, but I'm going to leave it alone. What do you guys think? I'm going to all that salt that's on here, kind of smoosh it towards the middle and tap it off. Pull the paper back out because it's still a little bit damp, so it's enjoying that fold. But here's our piece, and here's our textures from the salt, which is just a fun thing to do on backgrounds. It adds interest, a little bit of pop. And then here's our butterfly close up, all in. And then our leaves. And see, I did a little bit of outside the edge glow on the leaves, just to give it that little bit of yellow glow. But yeah, there's our butterfly painting in watercolor. I hope you guys painted along. That I'd be interested to see what you've done. If you hashtag Blake Studio, I will look at that and comment on your paintings. I'd love to see your work. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.